Yes, I think we're on. So, hello, everyone. Carlos here with the Evolve Commerce Club, and we're live now with Aytun Alakus. Please correct me soon, Aytun. I probably made a mistake pronouncing your name. For another expert session. Aytun is one of those rare leaders who has seen the inner workings of the world's biggest consumer brands and shaped decisions that moved billions in spend. Aytun led consumer insights at JB Peaks, GSK, and Colgate, and has spent her career decoding human behavior, turning data into influence, and helping commercial teams understand what actually matters to consumers. In today's session, she's sharing what people often get wrong when trying to sell to customer insights to teams and how to force correct before it's too late. I know you have a small presentation here, but before you start your presentation, we always have a controversial questions that we ask every single guest. The controversial question for you is: are most consumer insight functions becoming too reactive, and AI is making it worse?
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for introducing and inviting me over to that session. Um, I mean, yes, it sounds like this when you look at from outside and when you go through all the discussions and the evolutions. Indeed, I disagree because it's more around if you start to know using it on your own benefit and on your own side. It is not a big threat, but indeed it is helping you to get deeper on things, to speed up and get on track. So I think the level of threat to insight is not that much different than its level of threat for design or for even to doctors or like other professionalisms. So yesterday I'm following some AI pages, and yesterday I was reading the updates on AI, and the one I saw was really impressive, and I shared with a doctor friend. Currently the level of AI just really past all the doctor expertise level. So it is, I think, more threat to professionalisms that requires certain level of knowledge, where indeed in insights and in analytics the level of info, the level of data is huge, and it's getting bigger and bigger every day. Even AI and what it provides is the data itself. So that's why I don't see it as a threat as much as you're getting involved to it and getting close and learning around how to handle or manage it on your behalf. That's the way I can answer it, I guess.
Brilliant, very good. All right, Aytun. So let's get started. Maybe you want to share your presentation briefly, and we start our expert session.
Yeah. Gustavo, are you gonna be showing it or like I? Yeah. Okay. It's more of introducing myself, and when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see myself. Indeed, in the group there are some people that really knows me by heart, so it's gonna be a repetition for them. What I wanted to call this session, it's all in your hands during our life, how to manage it, how to live it, and all the details. But as we progress, you're gonna see it's also not as much as in your hands as we think. So that's shortly me, a summary of my life for now. Um, this is Aytun Alakus. So in English, we don't use the dots in my name, but it's Aytun, like iTunes. And I have a dot with S, which is sh in Turkish. So Aytun Alakus. Aytun means the girl sitting on the moon. So I'm the girl sitting on the moon. I'm mostly a yellow to red character. As you can see, my test results, these are all real pictures of my life. And that's my real personality test results. I'm a social, extroverted person. At work life, I can get a little bit reddish, which means I'm social, but I'm also dominant in a way, the way I handle things. But I get things done, so which is good. I have three kids. My older son, this is their younger pictures, but my older son is 20 years old, and the twins, a boy and a girl, who are 12, Ata, Aras, and Asya in their names. My husband is an engineer. I'm a Libra as of horoscope. If anyone interested, the picture on the bottom is Kuşadası, which our summer houses. This is our beach. And these pairs are from our garden. I like nature. I like greenery and our western coast. During pandemic, I got some other talents like coloring pictures, like the three ones on the top, and then learned to cook decorative cakes like this at the bottom. They're all my own productions. Um, my overall motto is if there is no sun, you should be your own sun. So be the sun. And nothing worth having come easy if you don't really fight or work for it. Let me go to my career path. I started in 2000 with a bank, which I didn't capture it here because my parents were working in bank. I started as a specialist in bank on risk management. Then I decided bank is not the right professionalism for me, so I moved to a multinational called Cadbury. But before that, that was a local company called Kent Gıda. In Cadbury Schweppes, I started working in consumer insights and shopper insights. Then after a while, I moved to Colgate Palmolive after 8 years. Stayed almost a year in Colgate Palmolive, setting up the insights and analytics department for Colgate Palmolive Turkey. Then I was called back by Kraft Foods, which was the company who was acquiring Cadbury. So I went back to Kraft Foods, and in Kraft Foods, I also started doing some regional roles. Then Kraft Foods on the way became Mondelez International. And by 2014, I left, gave a small break, delivered twins, looked after them, and then did a doctorate thesis about being an expat on Hong Kong for someone to gain money, did some consulting, which I didn't capture here. Then I joined GlaxoSmithKline for looking after Middle East and Africa region. Currently, it became Haleon with the new name of the company. Stayed there over 5 years, then left there, another small break, and then I moved to Jacobsdorf Egberts Peet's, coming back to confectionery and coffee world, coffee shops, again looking after Middle East Africa, but then they gave me new regions called global distributor markets, which was including majority of Latin American countries except for Brazil. Brazil had its own insights person, but I was looking after Mexico and other Latin American countries as well, including Middle East Africa and Northern European countries like Iceland, Finland, Serbia, Croatia type of countries. And then I decided to make a change because kids were growing up and for their education. Then I received an offer from Lego to run this time from Northern Europe to Africa. And that required me to move to Prague, which I did last November. But then indeed, after I joined, not indeed after I joined, but on the way and after I joined, I faced some new other realities. That role was again looking after insight, analytics, and strategy. So all along this journey, I was always looking after consumer insights, analytics, consumer relations, and strategy. So my title has varied from consumer, shopper insights, business insights, strategy, global insights. So the title changed all along the way, but I was always doing similar jobs. And my last job in Lego was again consumer insights and strategy from Northern Europe. I mean, starting from Norway, Sweden to down to Africa, a vertical line. That was the role, but indeed, when I went there, we had some logistical issues. So country rejected my older son's Schengen visa. They didn't get him into the country. Then when I went to Prague, I learned that I can't leave the country and visit my son. So indeed, it was a plan to move as a family, but then because of Czech Republic rules, my family split into two, and I decided to reject the role and left it. So currently, I'm only doing the educational part of my career, which was my own goal for life. It was my own social responsibility project. That was the name I was giving it to myself. I'm teaching in a government university, and I'm giving branding classes to engineers. So that was the university that I was graduated from. So I'm still keeping on doing it for last 11 years. And after I left Lego for a while, I just recovered a bit physically. I got some sicknesses. And then I did some consultancy work. So during that period, I also did some consultancy work to companies, a local company called Tamek and Diageo, the alcohol company. Some other university students from US reached me out and got some consultancy on tea category. So for Japan, so I did some consultancy work. And I'm at a very interesting stage of my career, which I also want to take you through all along. Any questions related to myself? Okay, and the last one on the right top. I like different cultures. I like different countries. I engaged almost all. I've been part of Asia Pac. I've been part of Middle East. Even now, I've been part of LATAM. So I love working globally. I love getting to know people, being an open-minded approach with empathy, and to understand. So that picture is from South Africa, from a home visit that I've taken. So I love overall people and animals as well. Yeah. Any questions? If not, I'm gonna keep on.
Please go on, Aytun, because
Okay,
then we will
I
have
can't.
questions. Soon.
Okay, I can't see anyone. So anyway,
No problem.
so Dalia will remember one of our friends in that picture. So what I've seen in my life, and that has a huge impact in my life. So I believe everything is in our hands, but sometimes nothing is also in our hands. I wanted to share that picture because I believe to remember some of the people that has a place in our life and teach us something. In this picture, the friends in the middle that we know both with Dalia, we have lost her a few years ago. That career is a very strange thing, you know. When we were getting acquired by Kraft Foods, I was leading insights business for Cadbury Schweppes, and our friend Neslihan, who is in the middle, and the one on the right is my junior. Currently, she is in US Globe Colgate Gülber. The one in the middle, Neslihan, was leading insights for Kraft Foods. And when we were acquired, they were making some choices to give the role to one of us. It was interesting enough because I was slightly more older and experienced. They gave the role to me, but then I left the role and moved to Colgate. And then my role was vacant, and Neslihan for a while waited for, she became the media manager. So she waited the role to come to her. And then she didn't get it. But then when they called me back after a certain period of time, I came back to my own role again. And I had to work together with her. She was like my biggest competitive person in the company. So they were just making us head to head fight for roles. But then it was funny enough that she promoted and became like my manager during that career path. So then what life started teaching us, sometimes the roles, the titles, I mean, it can play towards you or like against you in your career. But after a while passed, we worked really good with her. But unfortunately, a few years back, we have lost her due to cancer. And that shows you, like, in your career, you can do everything and everything is in your hands. But at the same time, it's not all about work, or like it's not all about really fighting to get things that are really doesn't value much in life. So I really wanted to share that as well, and also remember her in front of everyone as well. Moving to
Thank you,
another side.
Aytun. Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, and all along, I think it's all about the self-awareness all along that journey. That's what I've seen. And I wanted to share that with all of you, and I'm gonna share some links that you can also benefit out of it. Is a few years back, 3 years ago, a friend was pushing me a lot, which now I'm doing this consultancy work together with. A friend was pushing me a lot to do this positive intelligence training and to make a test to myself. And there are 9 saboteurs that is inside of us, which is impacting our motivation, which is impacting our way to handle, our style of handling things in life. And to me, going through this saboteur test and to find out and to get on feet my judge, the master saboteur, who is really managing inside of me, was a waking up moment in my career and in my work life, especially. which is interesting, which I want you, I'm going to be sharing these links with you. So both of these you can register and you can do this test for you own self, and you can find your own saboteur. But I want to show you my own results here openly. This is my own test results, and that woke me up to a day. I mean, I knew I'm a hyperactive person, so physically, that's the way I was born. I'm a hyperactive person, but this hyperactivity physically became a big saboteur inside me as well. So something inside me always speaks out to me loudly. And when you get this training, I mean, after you find out these saboteurs, but when you get this 7-week training, you find out the master saboteur. You can even bring it to life. So inside of me, there is a lady who is older than myself in Swiss, always talking to me to do more, to hyperachieve. If I stop to do something more, shouldn't be resting, shouldn't be sleeping, should be waking up, should be doing things, should be rational, shouldn't be taking things emotionally. So that person inside me was always talking, and that was my own saboteur that was also pushing me hard. Sometimes it was looking like it was pushing my boundaries and making me achieve things, but at the same time it was creating over pressure on myself, which was all of my friends, like, fortunately Dalia is in here, and she was always telling me, you should give a break, you should stop a bit, you should give yourself a time, which all of my friends could also see. But it was a moment for me to rationalize, to see that there was something, and I created my own self. And I know I didn't, I mean, it's a psychological reflection, the way you grow up and the things that you go through is creating these saboteurs. It's good that mine are around 7, 6. Some of my friends have, like, for example, the victim one. I have a friend who is like 10. Everything that life bad, she believes it happens to her. She's playing a victim role. That's the way she's managed her style of managing her life attitude, is being like victimize herself on everything. So when you find this out, I did it to my family members. I did it to my, I mean, I shared it with my team. My team did it, and even some of the people in my team, I got them as an education into this training. So I would not want, but I would recommend heavily to go to link and do this to yourself, and to see what is slowing you down in your life, what is driving your decisions in your life, how are you handling, what is your style of handling your issues and problems in life. So I wanted to share mine. So I'm a restless hyperachiever that works a lot. What I'm trying to do right now, coming to that stage, I mean, after working 20, 25 years in work, when I'm teaching and I'm talking to students, yes, I've collected a lot of knowledge and info, and a lot of expertise on how to handle things rather than how to do things and how things end. Um with the outcome of this, I'm now trying to make the decisions to really suppress this saboteur talking inside me to do more. Now, I say no. Carlos is a big Carlos is a big example to this. He was pushing me hard to do things, and I was
Mhm.
resisting the hyperachiever inside of me to do things. I decided that life was telling me to slow down, and I'm fighting with my own self not to do things now, because, and I love doing this. I mean, nobody asked me to do a presentation for today, and I love working on this to create. I mean, and I see in a day or two I can be back to my hyperachiever mode. I'm still not that far away from it, but I'm really fighting with my own self to slow my instincts a bit, to do the right things around me. And during these changes, I'm trying to be true to myself, not only myself, also my values, to get this picture. I made it on purpose. It's a blurry, but to be really clean on what I really want to do and what I really don't want to do. Yeah, that's what I'm really following as a value. And so far, I think I did came successful in work life, not as high as I wanted, but my values, and these are my key values, and these are good because I'm staying true to myself. But sometimes they were bad because that wasn't like what work life was asking from me. I always put people first, not the companies. And companies push you to put companies first, not people. So whomever I talk to, I mean, just like 15 minutes ago, a person who is the supply chain manager who has nothing to do with me in her daily work, she just called me out of blue saying that she likes me a lot, she loves me, she's remembering me, she wanted to hear my voice. So putting people first has always given me the next career opportunities, because I never looked for a job. All of the roles came to me with a friend, not a very close friend, maybe an ex-colleague advising me to a company, or somebody is giving my name to someone. So I never looked for a job. My just always the jobs came to me with that perspective. I never see a negative value of it other than being really open to people. And then I'm putting the family first. That was a recent recovery. I mean, recent waking up for me. I wasn't doing it indeed. I should be honest. The first 15 years, I was working like crazy. I wasn't really putting the family first. And my older son, unfortunately, he got suffered a lot out of it. But when I was moving from Mondelez to JSK, I gave this 2 years break and took care of the twins myself, because twins is a big thing. You can't just have a nanny and look after them. You need like three people. So I on purpose decided not to work immediately, but do some, I mean, relatively easier jobs. And I see the difference when you personally really put your effort and energy to kids. It's really giving you back big time. I also believe into giving back what the world to the world, what at least I received. That's what I'm doing right now, and that's giving me the biggest satisfaction in life. Teaching in university, frankly speaking, it doesn't give me proper money, almost nothing. I even maybe sometimes give paying more to to the field, to the world's most expensive field to go to university. But I'm feeling mentally and emotionally so good that I'm giving back to the country, to the world, at least what I received. And I'm so happy that I'm creating a lot of kids. So far I reached 2000 of them in 11 years. And majority of them seeing me as a role model, and they're promising to come back and do it, and they're writing me, they're calling me, they're friends everywhere. So they're following me, and I'm happy that I'm being a role model to majority that share this majority of the values. And I believe nothing is really a threat. When you work hard and when you dream big, you do it. And I believe, even though I'm gonna get old, I will have some objectives and targets in life to achieve things, to dream things. Unless when you give up on dreaming and doing things further or bigger, life is over. Then you're feeling without any purpose. I see it with older people, even in my family. They have no objectives left. They're living their life as if spending days to die. So that's what I don't want. So I worked hard, I dreamed big, but it's not over. So I'm gonna keeping on working hard and dreaming big. It doesn't work hard in the sense of not working hard to work like business or commercial. Currently, my biggest dream to write down my father's poems, to print a book for him. I'm dreaming big because he has very famous poems, which are even songs in my country, even soundtracks of some movies. So in my country, so my dream right now that I should be working hard is to get his poems and to publish it as a book before he passes away. He's old. So that's my biggest dream right now to do, which I'm gonna start doing it this week. Yeah, that's shortly me and my career. And on the details, we can stop sharing it. Gustavo.
Very nice. Uh, Aytun, thank you very much for sharing it. I think it's really really interesting. My wife is in Brazil. She's developed a career in multinationals, and at some point she burned out, so she decided to stop working for multinational organizations in the pharma industry. Now she works for the Brazilian government, the tax division of the Brazilian government, and on the side, she's doing something very much like you. So you both should connect, because she's done a course in terms of coaching. She's doing a lot of personal development for other women. So it's really really interesting. And I think the first thing that I find it interesting about your presentation in relationship to the saboteurs is we did a test. I've myself, like you, I'm a very communicative uh, person, very active as well. I need to use my body. I've been an athlete for the majority of my life, been a tennis player and so on. And the way Gustavo and I we work, it's really interesting because we have a dynamics where I think we push each other in positive ways. So I'm the one more more like outspoken in the sense more visible, but I'm pushing him as well because we're company founders. But he's doing what he has to do in his own ways, and I think what you're saying is so important when it comes to partnerships, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to understanding who you work with. Because if you can understand, first off, I think you need to understand yourself, and that's a lifetime work. But if you understand your strengths, then when you have to recruit another person, when you have to partner with another person, then you will look for what you need, not for what you think, right? Because the gut feeling in that sense sometimes can also be very wrong, right? And so the first question I would have for you, more from a career standpoint, and building teams, is like perhaps you could share how this test and all of this techniques that you've been developing now has helped create teams and team building. And Patrick will have a question soon.
Okay. Uh, I think the majority of the trainings within the companies are given around like empathy, like receiving feedback, or like storytelling. So, like, really how to create the conversations. Indeed, I think, as you say, the most critical thing is to understand that person. If a person around you is a like stickler, so like getting into a lot of details, like my manager's biggest saboteur was, she was a stickler, so she was getting every detail and she was getting lost in them. Telling that person not to do is not the solution, as you say. I mean, it can be your wife, it can be your like work friends, like your partner. If that person, I mean, that's her own saboteur, that's the way she was grown up. She was grown up to be a perfectionist. You can't tell people not to be a perfectionist and they're not going to be a perfectionist. That's not the case. But what I was trying to do, first of all, is to create this self-awareness all along the group. I mean, this positive intelligence training that I have received, why I wanted to share, I got hundreds of trainings and I got hundreds of tests. Why I was sharing this? Because it's funny enough, my friend who was pushing me to get this training right now, Unilever in Turkey, is giving this test and giving this positive intelligence training to entire entire like company. Now, as of teams, they are giving this test to everyone, so everyone is knowing their own saboteur. First of all, I mean, if you don't know yourself and your own motivation and how to control it, how are you going to be managing the feedbacks and reactions that is coming to you? You're going to be defensive, thinking that people are criticizing you. Indeed, it is the way you're grown up, and this is your own judge that's speaking inside of you. So I believe, again, self-awareness. That's why I kept that word inside of it. First of all, within my team, with all of my team, once we join, I was advising to do such personality tests, or this is more for your own self. But I mean, you can also see, I mean, when you talk to Gustavo, like he's your peer, you can know, I mean, your closest friends, what is that person's even saboteur. You can also feel it. But him seeing it, trying to understand where it is coming from, going back to the base of it, to solve it inside you, learn how to handle it. And while you're learning how to handle your own saboteur, you're also learning how to handle people. So it is giving you an advice. If you can't do any of them, what I was doing before, and and everybody loved it, and still all of my friends tell it as a team activity. I have given them in research and insights. Dalia knows we do it, and maybe Patrick also knows. We use some like visual mood boards. So I was preparing, bringing magazines, and like a team of us, we were all coming together. So we are creating a board of Carlos Monteiro. So that's Carlos Monteiro's board, and I give magazines to people. So what do you think about what Patrick thinks Carlos represents visually? What I think Carlos represents visually? Everybody cuts these visuals, and everybody sticks it on the board. Then Carlos see himself from others' perspective, what Carlos really stands for. One of our friends, she was shocked because everybody was putting Barbie babies, I mean Barbie toys, nothing else. She had a lot of beauty and hair and everything, and she was so sad because there was nothing for her personality. She said, oh my god, everybody's seeing me just 3D, a visual, I'm a nice beautiful lady, and everybody's seeing me a 3D visual, nice Barbie girl, nothing else, no value. She couldn't spread, I mean, she couldn't share her reality with others. To me, it was a spider lady, like with 9 hands. Still there, because I'm a hyperachiever. People didn't tell me that I was an hyperachiever, but they put me a visual with spider legs doing something within each hand. So if you can't do these tests, even these visual boards within the team can help you see what you really mean for others and what you stand for others.
Amazing. Patrick, please ask your question. I'll have a follow-up question on the saboteur part because I think it's really amazing. But go ahead, Patrick, please.
I'll change subject a little bit. So maybe if you want to follow up the question, then I will, because I will ask more about the technical part of consumer insights.
Yeah, we can. You can ask me. It can be. It's okay.
I have a question. Like I worked with consumer insights and strategy for a while, and I think like those areas are maybe one of the most political areas inside big companies because it's not so easy first to prove the value of like the insight, and also sometimes the leaders they want they want to use the data if the data tells what they think they already know. So how do you make sure like the insights you find in the researches they are like use it in a proper way by like the senior executives in the business area, and how does your approach change in region, because I imagine it might be different in Turkey than in Japan, for example.
Yeah. I think that's really very critical question, and I think that's the way I answered it made me got into Lego. Because in Lego, I got the toughest 5 interviews of my life. It's very tough to get into Lego. 5 toughest interviews with VPs who was ex-P&G, ex-Pepsi. So during that interview, they were asking the same question because they were saying that the hard decisions or sometimes the right data can't be told the way it should be. And that's the toughest part of it. I mean, someone should take the hard call, you know. If I would be strong enough to make that call, because that person was very strong and she was thinking nobody can talk to her. I think it's also related with the personality, because when you own I think the right answer is really owning your data. What I mean by owning the data, you're the expert, you're the owner of the data, you're the expert of the data. The way to read it in the right way is your expertise. So in Jacobs, for instance, they were trying to get me to the global predictive analytics role. That's what we were discussing to do, for me to foresee what the categories will evolve in coffee market, and globally it's growing like hell. But in each country, how much it's gonna grow? They were asking you to make these forecasts. Same for Lego. During the interview, they were saying that they were growing massively for last 5 years, and they didn't know why. And they were asking me, the first thing we want you to come and discover is why we are growing that massively. So they were growing, but they didn't really know the strategic base of it, why they were growing that massively. When you own your data, after a while, and you're an inside person, you start feeling to know what is right and what is wrong and the way it should be interpreted. That's why I never let others present. Even though in Jacobs I wasn't in the board, in JD, in GlaxoSmithKline I was in the board, in Lego I would be in the board. Even in Jacobs I wasn't in the board, I was invited to the board. I made myself to be in these meetings, and I presented my own data the way it should be presented. So when there is a challenge, you're the one to tell, no, you're reading it in the wrong way. No, that's the way it should be. Or, and you shouldn't be afraid to tell this. This is why we're paid. We are paid to tell the truth. We are paid to tell what's coming up next. So I think it's also related with the attitude. So when I told something about a data effect, nobody could criticize because they knew I had hundreds of back data to support it with, or the moment they criticize, I would give 5 more to stop them. So this is the credibility you build. The more you own and the more you present your data, and then you're done. Nobody's asking it. You're the expert. They just come back and ask you, what do you think will happen? You tell. And 90%, I mean, there were some times that I couldn't foresee. I couldn't foresee Russia bombarding Ukraine, of course. I couldn't foresee that. That had a huge impact on us because we had a factory in Ukraine, we had a factory in Russia. I mean, when everybody banned Russia to send coffee globally, that had a huge impact on Israel, for instance. Israel was also my country. I couldn't foresee it. I thought there would be huge crisis, but Israel just recovered in 1 quarter, which I couldn't also foresee. That was I was foreseeing lower volumes. Indeed, they sold as much as, I mean, much more than we could foresee. So other than these exceptions, 90% you feel it, you interpret it in the right way. So my forecasts were 90% was right. So everybody started trusting or respecting the expertise. So Patrick, you should own it. That's the right word, to own your data. I mean, don't let others criticize or discuss around it. That's, if you say true, it's true. No question mark.
Thank you.
Amazing. Aytun, thank you, Patrick. And you're welcome to stay on, no worries, man. As in, regarding the saboteurs, this is a very interesting topic, because I'm aware of mind saboteurs. And sometimes I don't think I'm aware, but I try the best of my ability to put myself at risk and ask my wife and stuff always to put me in check as well about my ideas and just to test me. And I try to be as transparent as I can. If there are things, I think therapy helps a lot to understand when what creates fears and so on. This is a very candid discussion that I have with my business partners sometimes when I feel, we are sabotaging ourselves. And there are things that I feel like sometimes that he says it, that I'm pushing him as well. Because I'm saying, this is underselling us, and this is, we're doing something amazing. So sometimes like dreaming big, but then he's trying to hold my horses as well. and so it's a very good combo. And I don't know if I have any conclusion from that. But what's your advice on what we are doing? I'm being very selfish. What we are doing, our perception about from ourselves. Like, it was an interesting example when you shared from the mood board, not the mood board, but the board that people can create a board based on their perception about you, rather than you talking about yourself, because that's something that Stop and I we also meant we talked about it. I think it was 2 days ago. Like someone in the community, they said what you guys are doing is amazing, and I perceive that this community has really high caliber people. So it's not me saying, it's someone else. So that's a very very positive thing. Like someone else has that perception, and that is the perception that I want people to have. But not only the perception, because that's what we do in the day to day. So I spoke a lot, not real, like not really like a lot of conclusions, but really your advice on for entrepreneurs for what we are building. Like to keep our our sanity and to keep ourselves with a good culture, because I think Gustavo and I have a very good culture, but maybe some dynamics that we can have and yeah, to find out our saboteurs and I find it fascinating.
I think what you're asking is it how to define the acuity of yourself. I mean, currently you yourself, Gustavo yourself, Gustavo himself, and Evolve itself. They're all in a way brands, and they're all in a way. You're representing something within that. So for you, what is must do's and must not do's? There are things that I will do and there are things that I will never do, which is making Carlos, Aytun. So this is clear. Because I should be looking much good for others, I'm not going to change doing it. As I told you, like putting people first. Very simple example. I came to a meeting late, and I will never forget an ex manager, which was a horrible manager indeed. She was telling me, I said, oh, sorry, I'm late. I was in another call. She said, why are you giving excuses to people? You shouldn't be giving excuses to people. That was her feedback to me. Because this is her style. This is her style. I mean, just coming in and just sitting down and saying sorry and sitting down, but not giving an excuse. To me, I know myself. I'm an extrovert and I'm a yellow character. I do care about what others feel. That's something that makes me myself. I do care what people may think. That's why I want to give an excuse why I'm late, because that's making myself me. I didn't buy in the feedback and I didn't execute the feedback. I mean, I didn't change myself giving the excuse why I was late to other to the meetings, because that's something that makes me Aytun. Aytun is a person that will give an excuse, and why she would tell why she's late, because she's talking a lot. She's talkative. That's like you. I mean, there are things that makes you yourself, which is defined by you. That's your brand equity, you know. Aytun is an extrovert person, Carlos. So you should be deciding what you really represent, what you want to be, and what you don't want to be. And the way you position yourself is what others are perceiving about you. It's not they just look at you. I mean, if people are giving a praise about how good you're managing the community, which I think you do, as well, it is something is the outcome of what you're giving to others. It's not that how they perceive you. That means this is the feedback that's given to you. You're doing a good job on this one. If you want to see how you can do it better or further improve it, I think again the answer will come how much you want to further go around it. And again, who is your objective, who is your target? Your target is us, then you should be receiving feedback from us. Once we're having our call, remember I was telling you, oh, it's getting so much e-commerce, it's coming so much sales, or like Brazil, I'm feeling a bit out. You immediately got the feedback, and you started actioning around it. I mean, to hear what is being told and to action, to correct it the way to your own path is the way to fix it. But the feedback that comes to you is outcome of what you give to others. So again, it's about how you position yourself to outside. So it's not how you should be coming for others what they want to see. No, I don't think it's you're coming
Perfect.
to this world
Perfect.
once as well. You come to this world once. You wanted to do this for ages, and you're doing it. Don't listen others. Do it. Do it in the right way. I mean, sometimes pulse check with us how you're doing it, how it's going. So you were pushing me. I was telling you to push me. You were pushing me. I wasn't doing anything. You were pushing me. I wasn't doing anything. Because, again, I didn't. Okay, I was feeling sad sometimes that I told you to push me and you were pushing and I wasn't reacting any. But at that moment, I should be. That's what Aytun wanted to do. That's what I should be doing. Because I was fighting with my own saboteur to slow down. I mean, everybody around me was telling me to slow down. That world was telling me to slow down. And I was running, and that was making me tired. So you should hear what nature is telling you. You should listen to your inner voice, and then decide on your own acuity and do what you think is right for you, and then receive pulse check with others to receive feedback to get it better. I think that's how I would handle it.
Amazing, amazing. And I agree. I agree. That's we had a chat, I think it was 2 days ago. If he's watching this session, it's amazing. German guy, very straightforward. And he said, well, I still didn't get what your community is about, which sometimes I get this feedback. It's not super clear, connecting people across markets and blah blah blah. And then I told him, I said, fair enough. Thank you for your feedback. But I'm not sure if my community is for you as well. I'm not sure if this is for you. And that's okay. That's fair. But you're welcome to see, and maybe I can have a look at our value prop, what we are saying here. But I'm seeing the results. So the results speak for themselves, because when you're running a community, I'm very convinced that what we are doing, like, people talk about it. So it's easier for me to bring new potential members and people who are becoming real fans from the inside, rather than just, painting like there's an expression in English, putting a lipstick in a pig, like it's still a pig just wearing lipstick. So for me, I think what we are doing, I'm convinced it's good, but it's more, and I'm quite comfortable about what we are doing, but I'm always, of course, post checking and talking to the community members. It's a lot of work. From from consumer, yeah, I think this conversation is fascinating, actually, because consumer insights, it doesn't matter if you're in marketing, consumer insights, finance. At the end of the day, it's about people, right? So in the end, I'm seeing you more like a as a human resources people sort of stuff. If I, personal development, rather than
No,
consumer
but the
insights.
thing is, I think it's evolving in a different way. You know what's interesting? The more I see, it's very interesting. If you ask me, where do you think the insights analytics roles are evolving to? They are like majority of my insights friends are becoming IT managers. Can you believe? IT. And that's very interesting. A few of them already became an IT head or IT lead because consumer side of it is getting relatively smaller, like TV, digital in media spending, digital is increasing. Consumer side of it is getting more towards data, more towards analytic. And when it gets more about analytics, it's getting more about data. Data is more about technical stuff. Technical stuff is more about IT. I mean, using AI, writing, creating apps, designing things. Even right now, the tests that I was using just before I left, I was using AI on packaging tests and I was getting the results in 1 second, like 3 seconds. I was uploading, clicking, I got all the results because AI was already giving. I didn't even need to test it with consumers because now consumers' behavior is measured in every way. Not only I mean just the eye tracking glasses or what you share and write as a data, like with the smartwatches, with the TV, with the location identification like Google Maps, with a lot of stuff. I mean, now, your heartbeat, everything is being measured and collected in one set because it's getting more about data and analytics. In my recent role that I was doing in Jacobs, it was 90%, like maybe 85% about analytics. It was more about data because now all the consumer outcome is becoming a data. And I'm getting less, I'm speaking less with consumers because the data is just waving, it's coming by its own self. I mean, I wasn't talking to them, I was doing a social listening. I wasn't talking to them, I was using this AI tech tool, which has already collected the data before. And it's not a miracle. I mean, consumers are behaving in the same way all over the world on certain topics. So I think if you ask me what's the future is evolving to, more insight and analytic works are going more towards technical stuff, IT, AI. What's interesting, I'm interested in innovation, and I'm interested in technology, and I've always been e-commerce, and I'm interested in new things. And I was telling you, I think I was just clicking on one of the AI tools. I became an expert for it. And the one that I'm an expert of, this AI tool, for example, there are very interesting challenges. They were asking me to make the AI use the word chicken with my question in 15 minutes. There was such a challenge that was given to me. And whatever I say, AI wasn't using the word chicken. But I made it. Now they are educating AI with people. So more, and that was, they were looking for an expertise. They wanted to see my CV to give that task to me. So now these people like us, we are becoming more technical people. So the company that I left, I indirectly got a role. I was being offered to move the entire data analytical system of the company to an outsourced company. So they wanted me to move the entire data analytical part of it. That was the job that was offered to me even this year, outside of which I didn't accept. But it is getting more technical. So insight analytics and consumer is getting more data and more technical, more to AI.
Amazing. Thank you. Gustavo, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's great. The whole conversation has been great, and yet still following this consumer insights and data analytics. So in in a company, how do you ensure like being in this area, consumer insights, data analytics, and all these areas? How do you ensure that these insights and this data are translated into strategic actions or into real actions. So I think it connects a bit with what Patrick asked before, but in a more, I would say, in a more tactical way. So how do you ensure or that that happens? So how does a person in this area can ensure that is that the person is bringing data and bringing the insights and how to take that uh,
Mhm,
through through the company to
I think now it's
anything
because,
to happen.
yeah, I think now because technology is so much far ahead, it is all about being really timely. So you should be fast and furious in every analysis and data you take. So you can reach data so much faster. You can see your sales figures, your shares, your brand KPIs, or everything is coming very fast. And then you should immediately take action. For instance, let me put it that way. We were making discussions around I was receiving e-com data as well, e-com sales data, e-com analytics data. I mean, e-commerce prices, like your prices in an e-commerce e-retailer is changing hourly, you know. Your competitor does an activity and you should immediately change your price. Unless you don't do it immediately, you lose. So we were making the discussions how can the agency could report us the prices, because agencies, one of them was reporting the prices of the products daily, but we were asking can you report the prices of the products on e-commerce twice a day, for instance, to make the even to change the prices timely to get the benefit out of it. So setting up the systems to fight with the speed of the evolution in commerce. So I mean, beforehand, we were receiving Nissan data, which was they were reporting the sales data. Patrick may know, maybe Nissan or like other data providers were providing us data. They were collecting, they were just analyzing, they were sharing it 20 days later. We were getting inside the company, uploading for hours, and then we were doing some analysis another week. I mean, you were taking action after 2 months, you know, so you lost share, you should see, then taking action would take 2 months. Now, the system is live. The moment the data is there, it's just uploaded, you see it immediately. Or like in e-commerce, you see the data timely, like you can have live brand health KPIs. You can immediately increase advertisement spend, or you can shift the mediums from one medium to another, like from digital to outdoor or something. So now everything is more related with the pace and speed of the things. So you should be adapting to the fastest way, and you should be having I mean, you should again benefiting of AI. Right now there are AIs that are reporting to you immediately, like weekly they report to you your analysis. They do analysis on behalf of you. You should be keeping up to date with the evolutions and the changes within the world. So I mean, I pay money for AI a lot. I do. I mean, I didn't have in my laptop the Microsoft AI. I bought it, or like I have Nova in my mobile, which just combines all the AI tools. I mean, even now I don't wait for doctors to write down my MR results. I upload the pictures of my MR. It gives the report immediately. I don't even wait for it. So I don't want to lose time on waiting for things. Time is the most valuable now. So I think that's all to find out the fastest and the most reliable way to keep up with the changes and evolution. To give the feedbacks to the businesses, take the action immediately, and then after you start doing it so fast, they trust you, you know, because world came to another level, especially with these price increases, with these crises all around. It can't be you know, beforehand everything was so easy. Now it can't be foreseen. I mean, everything changes in a minute. Who would think of these bombings and all this stuff? I'm so lucky that I left Jacobs currently, and I'm not in that company, because Israel was my country. Oh my God, can you imagine? I should make forecast about how much this war would impact. Oh, you know, these are not easy jobs. So I'm lucky that I'm not right now there. It would be tough. You can't foresee things.
Yeah, and I have a
Great, thank
question
you.
about that. Like, for example,
Oh, Patrick, you're
like we
frozen.
didn't. Can you hear me?
And now I can hear you. Can you just repeat from the beginning?
Oh
You were
yeah, I
frozen.
have a question about like what do you do when you don't have like historical data, right? Because like now we have a war, and then before we had like the COVID crisis, and we are living, as you said, like in a perma crisis era. So there's going to be always something new, like, unexpected coming up, and where we can't rely on historical data, right? So how does your approach change to like take fast decisions in a scenario like that?
Mm-hmm. The thing is, I've graduated from econometrics, so my life was about modeling. You know, my finishing thesis was about modeling, and our company, they were wanting to create these models. So why do we need to forecast by our mind? You know, we should use models, use the historical data, use the models. They did it, and then they shared with us. With that respect, for instance, they were thinking Turkey would grow 2% in the business, but there are, I mean, these models or like these forecasts or even these business decisions, there are so many other variables that you can't consider of or you can't think of that would impact the outcome. Indeed, when the model was forecasting that Turkey would grow 2% in coffee, coffee grew 30% in Turkey. There was Turkey now has the highest price increases. I mean, we are fighting with Argentina. I mean, coffee prices increased 256% in 3 years. It grew 30% in volume, not in value. So in value, of course, it grew so much. But there are other variables. It's popular. This is the only, that's the almost the cheapest thing that youngsters can afford to entertain themselves. I mean, these can't be addressed in the models, you know. These are cultural nuances that, but when you start working on a country, when you go there, when you start talking to people, when you go see their houses, or when you spend time with them, up until I go to Saudi, I didn't know that in Saudi, in the living room, there was a coffee corner. I would never think of it. Looking, being a consumer inside person, up until I go to Jeddah, I have never known that in Saudi, in houses, the coffee machines are not in the kitchen. They were in the living room. And we were trying to produce machines that fits in the kitchen furnitures. But then when you go to living rooms, they are all in gold. They are all in silver. They are all in like shiny, huge colors. And your white or black coffee machine doesn't fit. After that, you give the feedback to start producing gold coffee machines or copper coffee machines or silver because they put it in the living room, you know. So I think yes, historical data don't work all the time. You should know the country reality. You should know the flexibilities of the culture. Turkey historically is ups and downs with inflation. We are so used to, like Egypt is in the same way. I was doing a project in Egypt in Glaxo, and there was huge crisis in Egypt as well. And we were thinking of, oh, people can't afford. We should be launching small SKUs. You know what's the learning out of it? We launched a 20 milligram of toothpaste instead of 50. And you know what happened? Entire country, even the people who could afford, started buying 20. As a company, altogether, all of the companies, we reduced the market volume altogether, thinking people can't afford. But indeed, when you go and do deeper research, you find out people were wanting to buy the 50, but in a promo pack or like cheaper. They didn't want a smaller version to pay less. Of course, money is valuable. Nobody wants to give more money from their pocket. But all of the companies, by introducing 20 milligram, we small the market. Everybody lost doing it by doing it. Of course, you get to know. Now you learn. I mean, that's a learning. So you collect the know-how, you collect the learning, and you learn the culture and nuances, and you know how these countries will react. Now I know Israel can come back so fast in economy. They are good at it. I know. Now I learned it. I didn't know Israel very well. I looked after, I learned. South Africa, some cultural nuances, not even the data, the historical data itself. The reaction to some nuances is very different. Again, related with the cultural background. Let me put it that way. Yeah. I don't know if
So
that
every
really
time
answers that question.
you join a new country, you need to learn very well about the culture before doing like any of something.
Germany, you mean Germany? Germany, tough. It's tough in Germany. I mean, I didn't look after Germany, but I looked after countries around it. Very different. I mean, very different on many aspects. I mean, even for instance, United Arab Emirates and Saudi is very different on many aspects, which everybody could call Arabs, all of them, which is very different. The way they eat is very different. Culture is very different. Even what they give to the same machine as a price. I mean, you're asking. I mean, I'm gonna sell this coffee machine in your country. I'm showing the same machine to both cultures. And Saudi is giving 25-30% more to the same machine. They're ready to give more. They have much more money. Even the same thing. I mean, all the reactions are different. Calibration is different. Let me call it that way. Yep.
It's amazing. I have a final question, and have to wrap up. It's been amazing. So
Thank
I'm a
you.
big fan of yours, major fan. But the question is more in regards to how do you do market research? Because the way we did Gustavo and I was to everybody was like not everyone, but a lot of people they started saying, "Hey, what you're doing has a lot of value, and you pay for this." You know, but we were afraid of switching the flick and say, "Okay, we'll start charging." And I mean, we have a lot of market research experts like yourself, like Vesna, Dalia, people who understand. So started talking to these experts and seeing, okay, from these topics here, where do you see value and how much would you invest and blah blah blah, to be part of a network as such. But what I find it very challenging about human behavior is that people say something, but they act in a completely different manner. And that means that when you're creating your value prop, that is very tricky because you need to observe. So observation is king, right? When you're trying to create a product, launch a product, a community, it doesn't matter. So in our case, it's a digital community. It started digital, and now we're branching into the in-person events. You will be recruited to go to Egypt with us. More on that soon. But that is very tricky. So what's your best advice for market research, collect proper insights that are not going to forgot the word now, but that are not going to point you in the wrong direction. Maybe you had the right the correct insight there, but it doesn't represent the truth. You know what I mean? So
I think I understand it, but if I'm not answering in the way you want it, just stop me and just direct me. So what I understood is more like there are things you're offering. People think they're ready to get it, but then there are some time where people, as they say they're ready to get, they don't get it, and then they are rejecting the price or the cost or the question. So the thing is, this is a very perceptional thing. Me, what I'm expecting from you versus Dalia versus Avesna, and Desna is also a friend, is very different, and the benefit that you can provide is very different. Even though both of us wait for the same thing and give us the same level of feedback, our value that I think you worth versus Dalia can be different, or others, I mean, can be different. So that's why trying to calibrate it amongst people is not the right thing. So there should be one proposition that you have. You should be pricing it in the way you think is the right way to price it. This is how we were doing it Sensodyne, for example, in toothpaste. We were not allowed to promote after a certain percentage. We were never allowed. Even though competitor would kill us with, I mean, I remember there were times competition was telling buy one get three free. Can you imagine such a promotion? Buy one get three free. We were not allowed to promote because this is the value you put to this brand, and what makes that brand is the way that you're not promoting, is the way that you're offering, and it's the value that you're giving to it. It's not how people are perceiving it. And by the time with your consistency, people are starting to accept you and perceive you the way you want to position it. So what I would advise in your specific case is, yes, you're sharing what you've done, what you're doing, but for example, maybe you should be sharing more statistical stuff. For example, you should be sharing within the community, 35 people got 80 projects from each other. Or within that community, that amount of money people gained. Or within that community, there were like 68 people helping each other on these projects. These are more visible as of numbers. Otherwise, the way that I talk about perceiving things is, I mean, I like to speak about these type of topics. I like to give advice. I like to be consulted in that angle. You were telling me that, for example, I should be benefiting more within the group. But then, although you were totally 100% right, I wasn't ready, for instance, to ask for that help or like to provide support in that angle. So me, I was in that stage. Dalia, she was in another stage. Vesna was in another stage. So if you leave it to people base, it's too lost. You should be, I mean, you should be drawing the frame. We should be obeying the
Great.
rules. I mean,
It's a
we
great.
should be following the proposition. But of course, pulse check. Pulse check. If it doesn't work, don't
Yeah,
insist.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. Agreed, agreed. And I think we have to be the drivers in that sense. I think what we learned is there is a, as I was saying, the gentleman that was challenging me in regards to our value prop. He's been in partnerships. For us, like what we've learned is that we when you join Evolve, first thing is you're joining an environment where you can have perspective. Perspective is very important. Uh, when you're trying to be a global, truly global person, because that's about perspective. So, what is the perspective from Aytun, who's based in Turkey? That is priceless, and work globally, right? That is perspective. Then you're joining a community where you can have acceleration. Our challenge now, because it's just the two of us, is like gathering this all the stories and getting that more granular in terms of numbers, as you're saying, because we have the stories. So, for example, many stories, many like Mihaela, who found Bishara, Maisa. I don't have the size of the contracts because that would be too much. I guess just say how much. Maybe one day we can get that granular and say how much money has been generated through the community. You know, in terms of GMV. However, we're gonna find that. But we see results, but I think that also takes time. In regards to the positioning, I could not agree more with you. Like, I really like the story of the toothpaste, but that is also hard, right? Because when you see that someone is selling a lot and you just have to hold your horses and you have to wait, and it's just time there, right? So that is painful but necessary. And
Yes, it's necessary. If you, the thing is, currently, whatever they price, people still go and buy it because people believe it's the best quality. It's not because it's the most expensive, it's the best
yeah,
quality.
yeah,
And best quality is never sold cheap. So that's perceived.
mhm,
Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
how people do think it's worth it.
agreed. Aytun, thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, if people want to find more about you, I mean, we're gonna promote this within the club, but for the curious ones watching you on LinkedIn, what's the best way to find you and more about your services?
Thank you very much for inviting me over and trying to understand what's going around. I'm gonna find my own way as well soon, and I'm gonna benefit more of the community as well. Now I'm getting more focused on my own self. I think I'll get better by participation as well.
You're doing great. So LinkedIn, it's a good way to find you. Is to find you. Is LinkedIn a good way as well?
Okay. Yep. Happily. I mean,
Okay, got it.
I just lost the connection is like frozen, so I lost some part of it, Carlos. That's why I couldn't comment what you really said. I said okay. I mean,
So,
okay, anything that comes from
I'm
me.
sorry. I mentioned if people want to know more about you and your services, then I was asking if LinkedIn is a good channel. If that
Yes,
is,
it is. I mean, yeah, they
uh,
can see my background. Frankly speaking, I mean, I can give. I mean, I can help anyone currently. Because I'm not doing much currently. I'm open, and I can support anyone. I mean, and if you see, if I believe I could have an given hand or a help, I was already helping these people. Some of the people I had some interactions with some people. I was helping them, so I would love to. I'm totally available for now for anything.
Nice. Amazing. So thank you, Aytun.
Okay.
I'll catch you
Thank
on
you.
at the
Thank you
backstage.
very
Thank
much,
you so much.
everyone.
This was amazing.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Yes.
Bye bye.